Hey Sammamish, this is Christy Melchow here. I am actually in my neighborhood's pocket park, and I wanted to talk about neighborhoods specifically and a narrative that I hear out on the streets, which is relative to the town center and the town center being able to save our neighborhoods. And I want to talk about why that's not going to be the case. So everywhere in the city of Sammamish, we have underlying zoning. The underlying zoning is what dictates what does and does not get built in any given neighborhood. So just because the town center goes on doesn't mean that everything else stops. So if you live in an area that is underdeveloped, and by that I mean you might have a single family house on a 5-acre parcel with an R6 underlying zoning, which means that that house could disappear and you'd have 30 homes there potentially. So I think it's important to understand what does and doesn't save our neighborhoods. Your city council members save neighborhoods based on their desires within our community. So my desire would not be to upzone anything in the city of Sammamish because I think we have some issues that we need to contend with before we can consider upzoning parcels, namely traffic. Our schools are very full. We are understaffed on police, and we need to add to that. So changing zoning only exacerbates and puts additional pressure on our infrastructure, which includes schools and roads and police and fire. So we have to get those things under control first before we can consider upzoning. One other point that's important: the legislature in the last 2 sessions has attempted a minimum urban density bill. That means everyone planning under the Growth Management Act, which would include Sammamish, could have to be forced to upzone everything. So the first year it went through, they tried R6. The second year, which was last year, they tried R4. Neither time was successful, and I vehemently opposed the bill because I think municipal control needs to stay with the local elected officials. We know better our own jurisdiction over a blanket statement for all planning under the Growth Management Act for a minimum urban density. But I guarantee you that bill will likely come back in some form, and it eventually could pass the legislature, in which case we'd have upzoning all over Sammamish. 21% of Sammamish is R1, which means 21% of our entire city could get upzoned overnight if Olympia was successful in a minimum urban density bill. So when you hear the narrative that the town center will save our neighborhoods, just understand really what that means behind the scenes as far as underlying zoning. And if you'd ever like to see a zoning map, there's one hanging up at City Hall, or I'd be happy to shoot you one right off the city's website. Thanks for listening. Take care.